We have this reporter that goes by the name of Sabrina that dropped the behind-the-scenes information about Caitlin Clark at this USA basketball training camp. And the way that she's talking, Caitlin Clark made this team, fam.
So here's what went down at Team USA basketball camp. Practice was supposed to be routine, but it turned into the most awkward situation anyone in that facility had witnessed. Caitlin Clark showed up without fanfare or big announcements, but the second she stepped on the court, everything shifted. The atmosphere changed completely. The pecking order got scrambled, and when it was all over, somebody left early. Not due to cuts or injuries, but because they saw which way the wind was blowing, and they weren't part of that equation. The behind-the-scenes details are finally surfacing.
Yeah, the GOAT. Logo threes are back, y'all. Logo threes are back like they never left. Caitlin Clark doing it to him. Caitlin Clark is on fire. Day 3 of Team USA camp. The girl couldn't miss. It was like throwing a rock in the ocean for Caitlin Clark. Day 3 of Team USA camp. The best player in the gym.
You think Caitlin's takeover at Team USA camp left other players feeling threatened? Or maybe they just weren't prepared for what she brings to the table?
Very near future. And we wrote about that on the site, just like how people have been perceiving the negotiations and what still affects them and what they're thinking about with regards to the new collective bargaining agreement. But for now, just good time at camp. 3 days in North Carolina. A little snow on one of the days, you know, just a little taste of the winter in the South. But
right. All right, let's break down what actually happened at Team USA training. Because word is Caitlin Clark didn't just participate, she completely took control, and while doing it, she revealed something uncomfortable that nobody wanted to address. The established order in women's basketball just got turned on its head, and some people definitely weren't okay with that development.
When she was not playing with Aaliyah Boston, some of the bigs didn't know what to do with her passes. Like there was one time where she passed it to Hamby, and Hamby like brought the ball down. It's like, you can't do that. Like this is not, you have to keep it up, right?
Straight up, right.
Just like not expecting, you know, where that was coming. But FIBA, naturally, just a lot more physical than other levels of basketball, even more physical than the WNBA, which is, you know, something to be said considering all the conversations we had about that level of physicality during this 2025 season. So having to see Caitlin like go at scouting players who were, you know, instructed to play at a FIBA level of physicality was interesting considering how long she's been out and the fact that she's still ramping up injury-wise, but she looked good. She was just like so happy to be there and like was individually like telling media members how nice it was just to like talk to them again and like that she was just part of the basketball process, even if that includes all of these other responsibilities.
Here's the setup before we dive into the chaos. Team USA camp was meant to be business as usual. Players working on fundamentals, building connections, and getting ready for international play. But the instant Caitlin Clark entered that building, the whole vibe transformed. Not because she was showboating, but because her mere presence shifted everything. Every exercise suddenly centered around her abilities. Every conversation paused when she had the ball. Every possession carried more weight. This wasn't about seeking spotlight. This was pure influence.
And just fun to like see the players in a live game situation again, because you think about like Caitlin hasn't played since July 15th, you know?
Yes.
There are 4 sparks of this camp. Their season ended on September 11th, right? So it's been a long time since any of them have really played competitive basketball. You know, you saw some situations where like Caitlin's stuck guarding Kelsey and Kelsey's, you know, knocking her off the ball and Caitlin gets called for a foul and she starts yelling at the refs like, she's grabbing me, and all of the coaches from WNBA teams who were sitting there watching are just cracking up. Kelsey had one situation where she sort of finished through traffic. She'd been struggling a little bit, you know, got through to the hoop, just like yells right in like Becky Hammon and Nikki Fargas's face, and they're just like cracking up. Like
some insider information came out about what really went down at camp. The way it was described, Caitlin Clark essentially earned her spot on the roster. She walked through those doors and demonstrated she operates at the elite level. And the wildest part? It caught everyone off guard, not the coaching staff, not her teammates, not even the media covering it. Because on that final day at Team USA camp, Caitlin didn't just participate, she took complete command, and somebody reached their breaking point. Now Paige Bueckers was there too, and she picked up on something right away. The game speed increased when Caitlin controlled the offense. The floor spacing improved, ball lobbing got crisper, players became more engaged, coaches paid closer attention. It was like someone had flipped a switch, and Paige, being the fierce competitor she is, understood what was happening. This wasn't just another point guard running plays. This was someone functioning on an entirely different plane.
Two things that you wrote about, just Caitlin Clark being back on the court. You also got a quote out of Sue Bird about her being impressed with Caitlin just being engaged while she was out and getting back to being able to play. A little bit about what Caitlin looked like on the court, how much fun she was having, how important it was. And then someone else, Angel Reese on the other side, talking about Chicago. That was the article I was not expecting.
Yeah, so we'll start with Caitlin. Obviously, she suffered a lot of just a bevy of injuries in her sophomore season, played her last game on July 15th, even before All-Star Weekend. This was her first real 5-on-5 action since that injury with the fever, and it was a combination of like USA players going against USA players and then also USA players going against the scout team, which was just like players from small colleges all across North Carolina sort of helping out with that scout team practice.
Now here's where the situation gets messy. Angel Reese was also at this camp, and she experienced something different. Not immediate anger, but something much worse. Complete irrelevance. While Caitlin was dictating pace and controlling rhythm, Angel was becoming invisible. Not because she lacked talent, but because the flow wasn't working through her. The ball stopped coming her way. The plays weren't designed for her strengths. The energy moved around her instead of through her. Every team meeting, every film session, every casual conversation somehow revolved around Caitlin Clark. Not because she demanded it, but because her impact was undeniable, and Angel felt it happening. You could read it in her posture and expression. The frustration was building because she was running identical drills, playing similar minutes, but the entire system was orbiting around Caitlin instead of her. Then came scrimmage time. No media, no spectators, just pure competition. And this is where everything exploded. Caitlin ran the offense while Paige created space. Ball movement was flawless. Everything clicked perfectly. Meanwhile, Angel tried to force her way into the action. More physical contact, more emotional intensity, more desperate energy. But the game wouldn't bend to her will. It kept flowing faster, smarter, cleaner, and slowly Angel got pushed out of the rhythm. Not benched or removed, just eliminated by superior pace. That's when reality hit her. This wasn't competition anymore. This was about hierarchy. Caitlin wasn't just proving she belonged, she was proving the entire system functioned better with her as the centerpiece. Coaches were whispering, assistants were scribbling notes, and Angel witnessed it all happening. The game had evolved past her in real time. The insider mentioned something crucial about Caitlin's performance. She looked exactly like herself out there. The signature step-back threes were falling, the passing was surgical. But when she wasn't playing alongside players like Aaliyah Boston, some of the bigs struggled with her delivery. There was one sequence where she passed to Derek Ahambi and Derek brought the ball down to her waist. The observer noted, "You can't do that with Caitlin's passes. You have to keep your hands up and be ready." Because her passes are so accurate and perfectly timed that you need to catch and score immediately. That's elite level facilitation. She's not just moving the ball to teammates. She's placing it exactly where they need it to succeed. That separates exceptional playmakers from average ones. Caitlin doesn't just distribute, she creates perfect scoring opportunities. And if you're not prepared for that precision, you'll look foolish. Some players at camp clearly weren't ready for that level.
So it appears that Caitlin Clark is truly back healthy. The three-point shot is back. The logo threes are back. And what I really liked about that second one is that was going right. A lot of Caitlin Clark's threes are coming on a snatch back, going backwards, or to the left, or her going left. You know, she liked to go left to shoot her three. So the fact that even though it was a catch and shoot, she was still going on the right side and she caught it and knocked it down. That's a good sign.
The source also pointed out that FIBA basketball involves more physicality than the WNBA. Watching Caitlin battle against scout team players who were told to play with international level intensity was revealing, because Caitlin didn't retreat from contact. She didn't avoid confrontation. She welcomed the challenge and still controlled the game. That shows you everything about her competitive spirit. She's not intimidated by physical play or pressure situations. She's completely prepared. But then the story takes an interesting twist. The final day of camp felt different, almost too calm. The drills were executed perfectly. Caitlin commanded the court like a seasoned veteran, calling plays, directing teammates, and finishing possessions. Meanwhile, Angel barely got touches, not because of punishment, but because of basketball reality. The offense was flowing through Caitlin, and when practice ended, the outcome was already obvious. That's when Angel made her exit. Not dramatically or angrily, just quietly done. She didn't stick around for announcements or meetings. She simply walked away, and the entire gym went silent, and coaches looked at each other. Players avoided making eye contact because everyone understood what had just occurred. This wasn't just someone leaving early. This was a system being completely exposed. Now let's address what everyone's thinking. Angel Reese has been very vocal about wanting off the Chicago Sky. She's criticized her teammates and questioned the winning culture. She's openly campaigning for a trade, and after this Team USA experience, it's becoming clearer that she struggles when she's not the main focus. At this camp, Caitlin was the focal point, and Angel couldn't adjust to that reality. But this wasn't about egos or personalities. This was purely about basketball. The game was choosing Caitlin Clark, not because she demanded special treatment, but because she was simply the best player on that court. When that happens, there's no arguing or negotiating. You either adapt and contribute within the system, or you remove yourself from it. Angel chose the second option. The aftermath reveals something bigger though. This wasn't just about one player's departure. It exposed a fundamental shift. The same league that previously overlooked Caitlin, questioned her readiness, and delayed her opportunities, is now rushing to share her highlights and reshape the conversation. Because dominance changes every narrative, and Caitlin's dominance is impossible to ignore. The Observer mentioned that Caitlin thinks multiple steps ahead. She's not just running plays, she's orchestrating the entire flow. She's controlling games at a level most players can't even comprehend. That's what makes her special. She doesn't just play basketball, she controls it completely. When you have that type of player, everything changes around them. But what makes this even more compelling is Caitlin's silence. She didn't make any statements, she didn't call out anybody, she just played her game. And that game spoke volumes. It delivered a clear message. You can doubt her abilities, you can delay her opportunities, but you absolutely cannot diminish her impact. That's exactly what happened at this camp. Paige Bueckers showed great awareness. She recognized what was happening and adapted accordingly. She spaced the floor properly. She played within the system. She understood that when someone like Caitlin is running point, you adjust your game. You don't fight against it. You work with it. That's why Paige will excel playing alongside Caitlin, because she gets it. But Angel couldn't make that adjustment. She couldn't accept that the game was flowing through someone else. That's why she left early. Because in her perspective, if she's not the center of attention, what's the point of being there? Honestly, that reveals a mindset problem. Great players understand basketball is a team sport. You don't always need to be the star. Sometimes you just need to play your role effectively. This situation clarifies what it means for Team USA. Caitlin just proved she belongs at the highest level. She proved she can handle international physicality. She proved she can run elite-level offense, and she proved that in crucial moments, she's the player you want controlling the game. That's exactly what Team USA needs. They need someone who can manage high-pressure situations. Caitlin is that person. But now things get complicated because the narrative around Caitlin is shifting again. The same people who doubted her are suddenly praising her. The same media that questioned her professional readiness is now posting her highlights. The same analysts who said she needed to prove herself are now calling her the best guard in the game. And frankly, it's frustrating because Caitlin has been proving herself consistently. It's just that people are finally paying attention to what was already obvious. Let's talk about revenge without words, because that's exactly what this was. Caitlin didn't need speeches or call-outs. She just showed up and dominated completely. That's the most effective kind of response. When you let your performance do the talking, there's no room for argument. Nobody can dispute results. Nobody can question impact. And Caitlin's impact was absolutely undeniable. The source mentioned that coaches looked rattled when camp ended. Players seemed to be recalibrating their expectations, and Caitlin left the same way she arrived. Quiet, focused, and unbothered, while everything around her was in chaos. That's championship mentality. She doesn't need external validation. She doesn't require approval from others. She just plays basketball, and the results speak for themselves perfectly. Some people will claim this story is overblown, that it's manufactured drama for attention. But multiple sources are confirming that Caitlin dominated this camp completely. Multiple players noticed the fundamental shift, and someone actually leaving early tells you everything you need to know. This wasn't routine practice. This was a definitive statement. Let's be honest, this is exactly what happened when Caitlin entered the WNBA. People doubted her readiness. People questioned her ability. Then she showed up and proved she's among the league's elite players. The identical thing just occurred at Team USA camp. And once again, the narrative is changing because dominance transforms everything. But what bothers me is why Caitlin has to keep proving herself repeatedly. Why does she need to dominate every single opportunity just to earn basic respect? Why can't people acknowledge her greatness and move forward? It's exhausting watching her prove herself over and over, but that's her reality, and Caitlin handles it perfectly by letting her game speak. So yeah, Caitlin Clark just dominated everyone at Team USA practice. She took complete control, she managed the entire game, and she proved she operates at the highest level possible. Someone couldn't handle that reality. They walked away early, not because they got cut, but because they realized the game had already made its choice, and it was choosing Caitlin Clark. She just took over Team USA practice and demonstrated she's operating on a completely different level. While some players adapted, others couldn't handle it and left. This story reveals the shift happening in women's basketball, and Caitlin's right at the center of it all.